How to create a KPI thermometer chart in Excel. That's what we are going to do in this video, completely for free, step by step. This thermometer shows me some ranges, from the red one, the yellow one, the green one, and where exactly the product I'm looking for stands on this range. So the first range starts in 0 and go all the way to 40%, and then from 40 to 75, and then from 75 to 100%. Those ranges are based on my personal goal. Okay, so if I select a product right here, Excel is going to calculate the total of this specific product, and based on that, it's going to tell me, okay, this is 90% from the goal, from reach the goal, and etc. Of course, you could use a different example. Right now, I'm using a sales report from a store that sells shirts. However, if you work in a different area, let's say purchasing, logistics, HR, freight, and etc., it's going to work as well, okay? The first thing we need to create any type of chart in Excel is to have a data set. So data set is the most important thing. From the data set, we can create any type of chart. And yes, this is how it works in real life. You need to have a data set, right? And from the data set, we can summarize it and then use only the information we need. And this example right here, I have a sales report from a store that sells shirts. I have basic t-shirt, type 1, type 2, 100% cotton, shirt A, shirt B, and etc. And I want to know whether the goal was reached or not, and by what percentage. And by the way, you can download this Excel file for free. Just click in the link in the description. That way you can follow the video along with me. Okay, now that we have the data set, I need to summarize only the information that I'm going to use in the chart. I want to filter by the product name, and I want to see the total value. I don't want to show all those other information. And on top of that, I'm not want to show the total value by each row. I want to show it by product. So I need to summarize the data. And in order to do that, because guys, it's real life, right? This is the actual situation we are going to have. I'm going to select everything, click, hold, and drag all the way down to the bottom. Make sure everything's selected. Then you can go to insert table. I think insert a table is very important because it has many benefits. Make sure you mark the option My Table Has Headers. And one of the benefits of using a table in Excel is every time you add a new row, the table increases the range automatically. So let me show you here. January 1st, 2027, enter. There we go, a new row. Very easy, very simple. So this is the first benefit of using a table in Excel. Let me get rid of this last row because it's not important, okay? It was just an example. And the second benefit, in my opinion, is if you need to create a summary using pivot tables, it's way simpler because you can just click on the table and then insert pivot table, and that's it. The whole table is going to be selected, the whole range. Then you can go to OK. Now we have a new sheet in Excel, and all the way here to the left, we have the pivot table where we can see our summary. And all the way to the right, we have the pivot table fields. This is where we can set up the analysis, let's say. I have date, category, product name, quantity, basically the columns of my table. And all the way here to the bottom right, I have the fields such as filters, columns, rows, and values. Basically, you take a information up here, click, hold, and drag downwards within one of those fields. So let me show you here an example. I want to know whether the goal was reached or not. So in order to do that, I want to use the total value because this is what is important for me. Okay, teacher, I understand that total value is important for you. However, I work in a different area, let's say. I work with sales, I work with HR, I work with freight, and etc. Okay, you can use the value, the number, the information that is important to you. In my case, total value is what matters for me. So total value, click, hold, and drag, and drop within values. Excel is going to make the addition of all those values. And I can check the result right here, $80,000 roughly. However, those $80,000 are being grouped by everything basically. I want to separate those values into different items. And in order to do that, and also in order to have a dynamic chart, I can add to this pivot table specifically a slicer that is a dynamic filter. So click on the pivot table, go up here to pivot table analyze, insert slicer, and then you can select a option that allows you to filter the value by the criteria you selected. Let's say product name. Mark the checkbox product name and then click OK. Now, as you guys can see, we have this new window. And if I choose one option, such as basic t-shirt type 1, I can see the value only for this specific product. It's like a sum with a criterion. Let me bring this slicer down a little bit like this. And now we can create the values that are going to make up the chart itself. And for the chart, we are going to have different parts. We're going to have the red section, the yellow section, and the green section. And on top of that, those values needs to be equal to 100%. Let me show you here an example. So let's start with the legends, red, and then yellow, and then green. Those are the sections of my chart. And of course, underneath everything, I can go with total to make the addition of all those values. So in the total, we can start with a very simple formula, equal sign, and then red plus yellow add to green. Okay, enter. Now let me select the second column where we are going to have the values itself, and home tab, change the format to percentage, format as percentages. As a red, I want to have the section, the area of something about 40%, yellow 35, and green 25. As you guys can see, the total is exactly 100%. And this is 100% right. This is what we need to do. The total needs to be equal to 100%. No, it's not can be greater than 100%. It cannot be less than 100% because 100% means the goal is fully reached. So 100%, this is the area, this is the range of our chart, of the thermometer chart. And underneath everything, maybe down here, skip one row and then go to the next one, we can have the goal itself. Let's say my goal for each one of those products, let me check here the values. Okay, can be $3,000, enter. So I can write down here my goal. And remember, this is my example, sales report from a store that sells shirts. However, if you have a different example, a different situation, use your own number, your own goal. I'm going to home tab and format the value accordingly because I'm talking about money. I'm going to change the goal to currency, right? To dollars. In percentage, how much this pivot table value represents of the total. To do this math, we can do something very simple. Equal sign, the value that I have in the pivot table divides by the goal, and then enter. Look, we have $0.19. No, it's not in dollars, but in percentage because it's the proportion, one number against another number. So we can go to home tab and change it to percentage. That's it. 9% is the value represents the basic t-shirt type 1. However, if I change the product, as you guys can see, the percentage changes as well. And now we can create the chart. Let's go ahead and select red, yellow, and green, and the values to the right. No, you don't need to select the total because the total is just to help us see how far or if we surpassed 100%. Insert, let me take any chart. It can be a traditional column chart. Doesn't matter because we are going to change anyway the format. Let me click, hold, and drag this chart up. And as you guys can see, I have one column to the side of another column. This is not ideal because I need to have everything in just one single row, not one column to the side of another. Right click on the chart in order to change the chart type. We can go to this option. A little bit down, we can go to bar and select the second option, that is stacked bar, and again, the second option. And then okay. As you guys can see now, we have all those columns grouped together in only one row. However, when it ends the first column, it starts the second one and then the third one. So it's a pile of columns, column on top of another column or to the side of another, right? And here we need to change the range down here, the axis. I want to start with 0, it's right. However, I want to end in 100%. Right click on those values and then you can go to Format Axis, and all the way here to the right, we can set the bounds. The minimum is going to be 0. Okay, it's already in 0, but we have a automatic value. We need to confirm 0, so we have a manual insertion here, and it's not going to change anymore. Maximum is equal to 1, enter. And if we check the chart, we have the range better, right? The area, 0%, 20%, 40%, and so on. You can also change the distance between one value to another. Instead of 20% by 20%, you can change the major to maybe 10%, enter. Let's see how it goes. 0, 10, 20, 30, and etc. I can also click, hold, and drag the chart to the right to stretch it a little bit to increase the width. And guys, it's almost done. What we need to do now is change the colors and get rid of some informations that we are not going to use. Let me start to change the colors. I'm going to start with the blue one, and the blue one represents the first value, that is the red actually. Right click on this column and then go to Format Data Series. And all the way here to the right, we can go to this painty bucket. Fill, I want to use a solid fill and change the color to red. The second portion I can change to yellow. And finally, the last one I can change to green. That's it. Another thing that we can do is we can get rid of this number 1 to the left, this vertical axis, and also the grid lines. So click and select the grid lines, get rid of, press delete. And using the handles, you can click, hold, and drag upwards to reduce the area of the chart. However, when you do that, you can see that the chart shrinks a little bit. So it's way thinner than before. What we can do is, instead of reduce the height, we can increase the height. Right click on the chart and go to Format Data Series. All the way here to the right, gap width, we can reduce this percentage. How much? I don't know. We need to check in real time here. Maybe we can reduce all the way down. 0%. Yeah, I think it's good. Let me close this panel. We can also reduce a little bit more of the area of the chart, bring a little bit to the right. Okay, like this. We have here the chart title. We can change if you want. However, it's almost done. What we need to do now is we need to insert the down arrow pointing down with the percentage. Let's say the product that I'm looking for is going to be basic t-shirt type 2, and the percentage is 70%. So I need to have just on this specific line, on the top of 70%, a down arrow pointing down with the legend saying 70%. And how can we do that? With the label and etc. First, we need to create the width of this triangle, let's say, of this down arrow. And the width can be something like 4%. So 4%, sign, enter. Now we have the percentage itself and the value underneath. Another thing, guys, we are going to need to add a new chart on top of this chart. And this is how it works. However, it's very simple. It's a simple process. Let's select both of those values that we have down here. 70%, that is the percentage between the current value to the goal, and also the 4%, that is the width of the down arrow. Select both of those values and then go to Insert. Let me select a column chart again, because we are going to change the type anyway. Let me click, hold, and drag this chart over the other chart. Right click on this one, change chart type, go to bar, and again, stacked bar, select the second option, and then go OK. And again, we are going to have a problem with the range, so we need to set the bounds. right click on those values, go to format axis. The minimum one is going to be 0. The maximum one is going to be 100% or 1.0. Enter. That's it. Let me close this panel. And as you guys can see, this is how we are going to make the triangle pointing down. We can get rid of this first column. However, it's not actually to get rid of. We are just going to change the color in such a fashion to let it transparent, let's say. But we can get rid of the information that we are not going to use, such as the percentages down here, the grid lines, the title of the chart, the value to the left, that is the vertical axis. And also, if you go to format, you can get rid of the shape, no outline, and also the fill color, no fill color, to make the chart transparent. And how can I transform this little rectangle or this little bar into a triangle pointing down? Let me click in whichever cell of Excel, let's say D14, and then I can go to Insert, Shapes, and take a rectangle. Click, hold and drag to draw the area in the screen like this. However, we need to rotate the cell pointing down. And you can also change the layout to a black one. Now, if you click on this pointing down triangle and click and press the Ctrl+C and then the Ctrl+V, first Ctrl+C to copy, click specifically on the orange rectangle, okay? Do not select the blue one, however, the orange one, and then Ctrl+V, that's it. Because you can replace the orange rectangle with the shape that you have. And click on the blue rectangle and then go to Design, Chart Design. What we are going to do is we need to add this label right here, 70%. And in order to do that, add chart element, data labels, and then inside and. Inside and is a position that is going to place the percentage to the side of this down triangle. Now that we have the blue column selected, we can right click on it, go to Format Data Series, and all the way here to the right, we can go to the painting bucket, fill, no fill, and that's it. Let me click on the percentage, increase quite a bit, maybe 18%, put in bold. And now let's adjust the position of this triangle. So click on the chart, click, hold, and drag to the right to match the size of the chart that we have underneath. Click, hold, and drag up to reduce the height. And if you prefer, you can use the arrow keys to move the chart up and to the right a little bit. You can adjust the position. 70% is exactly right here. Now it's perfect, guys. And if I go here to this slicer and select other value, as you guys can see, it's automatically is going to change the position accordingly to the product I selected. And for sure, if I select a product and in the chart is showing me 78%, it's because it's actually 78% based on the value of this product and the goal that we set before. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video on how to create this thermometer chart in Excel step by step. If you have any questions or any suggestions, let me know, comment down below, and I see you in the next one.